See if I can get to that place here.
Okay, so I've started a new recording with Dell and I. And so now let's just talk about that project that we did one summer, and it might have even lasted more than one summer, where we took out a lot of trees and a lot of willows that went right down through the field in the southwest corner of our farm. You remember when we took those trees and shrubs out? And then Dad leveled that cornfield and really cut down the workload of irrigating.
I remember that very well. I can't find it in my list here, so I may run into it again.
Okay.
But yes, those were busy days.
Yeah. And Dad invited some of his priests to come and help. Theron Mitchell was one that would come, and he kind of took a fancy to Gwen, but she didn't return the favor.
Uh-huh.
So those were interesting days, but it was always interesting to me how Dad was always improving the farm without asking for the government handouts that they were willing to give.
Yes, I never understood all of that completely, and so I've taken more government handouts than Dad did. Wow.
Probably we all have.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to your list.
Well, let's see. Dad was one of the first to have a silo built on the farm. It was always fun to work around and in. It was also great fun to climb.
Yeah. I can't remember what year that happened. Did that happen before the new barn was built or at the same time?
I wouldn't dare try to say.
Okay. All right.
Timing of stuff just doesn't fit in this brain.
Well, it doesn't for me either on so many things. So, all right.
Dad achieved great athletic skills in his education as far as it went, and would always in slack times start up games of ball in the yard and or the neighboring field.
Uh-huh.
He had athletic scholarships for college, but never went.
Right.
He thought he would have just gone for the athletics.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Being a bit lazy and very innovative, I called myself the boss and managed to get the younger boys to do a lot of my chores.
I really love that story of how that worked for particularly
I loved it
with
a lot
Brett.
at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I had some very willing help. And
You surely did.
when Larry finally moved on, I did take over, and it must have been quite a while since Blaine was 4 years younger than I.
Yeah.
So I didn't know I could handle the top job, but I guess I must have moved into it.
Now, you know, a neat part of this that I didn't realize until almost Dave was raised was how I started doing the chores for Dad on Christmas Day as a Christmas present. And I heard that every one of you guys did the same thing afterwards on Christmas Day.
It may have taken me a little while to work up to that, but I'm glad you heard that I finally did.
That was interesting to find out that it carried on. So a Christmas present that was so special in my memory became a very, very special thing throughout all of the Christmas holidays. So that's a neat Christmas story, isn't it?
That is indeed, and I hope that it continued all of the years that I was in charge. I'm not sure if it did initially.
Okay. That's quite a memory. Okay, can you stop for just a minute and spend a few moments and just tell us how special it was that you guys were always able to come out for the family reunions every summer? I think of one of the great blessings that is associated with the family farm is the effort that you and your family made through the years to always be there for our family reunion.
I will be glad to take credit for that great blessing. Dad made me promise to always come home. Once he found that I was becoming a DC fixture and that I was not keeping my promise to my mother-in-law of returning her daughter back home in 2 years, he required of me that I would come every year.
Wow.
For the kids' sake. And what a miracle that was.
Yes.
That he had that vision, that I thought, how can 2 or 3 days make a difference to my kids in an entire year? But it made all the difference. And it was the most miraculous thing that could have ever happened in their lives, because they became bonded with their cousins incredibly. I wouldn't have imagined.
Yeah.
It could have been done so well in just 3 days, but that miraculous requirement almost made it all right for us to be in DC.
Yeah, it did. It meant, and each of the kids they have shared stories. It has it endeared them to the farm, and the farm became a place where they could rejuvenate their own lives, and so it became that special place where they could return and be present and get a charge that would stabilize them whenever they got it throughout their lives. That's what several of your family have mentioned as they've shared stories.
It's just was an incredible miracle that Dad had that insight and that vision, and he said, well, I've lost a son, but I'm going to bring him back.
Yeah.
And so all of the kids' lives were we're blessed incredibly.